Welcome to another episode of the Online Prosperity Experience podcast. You're about to hear your host, Prosper Taravinga's powerful digital marketing strategies and actionable tactics that you can use right now. Prosper has helped more than 50,000 people from over 10 countries to create meaningful businesses that are profitable and enjoyable. Listen to this podcast so that you too can build your own business with less stress and overwhelm. Let's get started.
Let your work outlast you by creating a memorable body of work. Now, I can understand being a coach, a consultant, your goal is to solve problems that your customers are facing. And every single day, either through your consulting, your training, your information, your expertise, you're trying to leverage, the market that you have chosen and clarify your message so that you can create for and relate to the people you're going to be demanding money off of. That in turn will help you create a business that's profitable and enjoyable. So with all this work that we have to be doing, with all this showing up, there's got to be a way that your work that you're creating would actually outlast you so that you don't have to keep repeating yourself. Now, you can, testify to this. Some coaches and consultants are out there maybe cold calling customers right now and not even getting any, hey, thank you so much for reaching out. Or maybe you're sending out hundreds of emails and nobody even knows who you are. And, you're probably spending or wasting thousands of dollars on ad spend. And none of that is creating generating any qualified leads. And you start wondering, do people still want what you're selling? Or is it because, the stuff that you're putting out there has no value and people haven't gotten to know, like, and trust you? Now, I want you to create and leave a powerful legacy. That way, you don't have to keep repeating yourself every time that you show up on somebody new. Your work speaks for you. You know what I mean? You become somewhat of a legend based on the work that you're helping others be, do, and have a happier existence. And why is this important? Because at any given moment, we are meant to be creating freedom within our business. And how do you attain this freedom? Obviously, you leverage the internet. You might create a course. You might create training that is, people can self-serve on the internet. And that way, you are free to, help your kids with their homework, or maybe go with them to some fun park where you guys can actually enjoy the fruits of your labor. You see, last week, I was talking to an old friend, and obviously when we're reminiscing, we would talk about things that we were doing when we were young, and there's a name that kept showing up in the conversations that we were having, and this is the name of the legend Tupac Amaru Shakur. And we were arguing and saying, do you reckon Tupac is still alive or did he die? And this guy, may God rest his soul, has been dead for over 25 years, but his name keeps appearing in headlines. He still seems to be, putting out albums, and he still has this whole posthumous life. I think it was in 2012 where he was headlining, one of the biggest festivals at Coachella, and he actually was seen in a video where he was giving a pep talk to Kendrick Lamar, and he just seemingly seems like he is still in existence. All right. And we were just talking about this, how, even most people are now looking at his body of work and looking for clues just to see whether he's still alive or not, or he actually predicted his death and things of that nature. I kid you not, we spent the whole afternoon talking about this, and what it reminded me of is we're talking of somebody who's been dead longer than he actually lived. What did he actually do that left such a big lasting impact on people, on society. He's actually being perpetrated as somebody who changed the whole hip hop culture and things of that nature. And I was just thinking, wait a minute, look at this. This is pretty much what we're also involved in. I mean, his work may not be up to everybody else's taste, but but we're all fascinated when somebody's work outlasts the actual person, when they sort of die and their work keeps getting remembered. You know what I mean? You can look at things that are maybe mainstream enough. 519 years ago, Leonardo da Vinci painted the Mona Lisa. That was around the 1500s. I think that's the time when Jesus was alive or things of that nature. I don't know the dates, but that's how far dated that most famous painting is. 500 years. Will the work that you're doing today be remembered 500 years from now? 500 is a long shot. Let's say 5 years from now, 50 years from now. Will the work that you're doing matter to the culture, to the people, to your own immediate family so much that they would want to preserve this podcast in nitrogen so that the tapes don't get ruined by atmospheric things that ruin stuff? I'm trying to think of something here. You know how they preserve artworks? You know how they preserve, precious documents and things of that nature? Apparently, the document with the rights, the Bill of Rights of America, is under a bulletproof glass, in America somewhere there. Things that matter are preserved. Work that matters is preserved. Either it's work that you have actually done, or it's work that you have done for other people. People will remember you for what you have done for them more than what it is that you have done for yourself. I think it was episode number 21 where I was talking about doing work that matters. So coming back, to the Tupac story, I mean, it is a form of art. And I know it may not be, to everyone's taste, but we are fascinated by people who do work that outlasts them, And I'm also fascinated and amazed by the volume of his work, because apparently there was like 6 or 7 albums that were still not released at the time that he had died. Can you imagine back in that time somebody having to create hit after hit after hit after hit and still have more work that would actually outlast him to cover, bills for his future generations to come? I mean, I'm coming from a place in Zimbabwe where, yes, we were colonized by the British, but this is how they managed to colonize us so much, in the time that they came into our country. Every soldier, every policeman that came with Cecil John Rhodes in the 1800s was given land for 3 generations to come. So you would have land that was enough for you in this generation, and then you will have another piece of land around you that your son would go and, inherit or use, right? And that's even when your son was not even born. He already had a piece of land that had his name on it before he could even know what he wanted to do. And his son, their grandkids, so they took land 3 generations in. What are you doing that would outlast you? What are you doing to stake your claim in this world for the generations to come? I mean, maybe that's not important to you, but for me as a migrant, I'm looking at myself and thinking, when I left Zimbabwe in 2011, and I came to Australia, I started the lineage of the Taruvingas that will come after me. And guess what that means? My kids and their kids are going to be looking back to say, where did we come from? And what was it like? Oh, who was the pioneer in our family? Now, we're the most documented generation. My kids don't even need to ask me all these stories because all that stuff is on the internet now. What have you done in order for you to have the decency of not having to lie to your grandkids later on of why you didn't amount to anything? And I don't want to be that 90-year-old or 100-year-old granddad who's trying to make up stories about being in a war or having, having fought in the African savannah, just so that I could get here, so that I, create stories to make myself, sound like I was a hero or a warrior. Make your work do the talking for you. And also, if there's a big amount of work, people respect that stuff, because people respect the time and the hard work that goes into creating something remarkable. And when you have this retrospect, it actually gives you some idea and depth of the commitment that needs to emanate from what it is that you're doing right now. What are you doing in order for you to create that body of work that people can be like, oh my God, if this guy is giving away this much, I wonder what it's like to actually pay him. Let me tell you something, man. Creating art is what, Tupac did. Creating art is what Leonardo da Vinci did. They worked hard at it, creating all that remarkable work. And I must say, this made me a little bit envious. I mean, as a digital marketer, as a writer, as a podcaster, much of my work is pretty much, in transit. I'm just sitting here and talking into this microphone, but I'm hoping that maybe in 50 years, somebody will take this podcast and actually utilize it in order to make their life better. I mean, the work that we do online is here today and it's gone tomorrow. You might design something that is on, Facebook, and then the algorithm eats it, And, the work that we do is probably just designed to do what it needs to do at that particular time. It's very rare that, we have something winning an award or any commercial writing or podcast survives very long. Everything is usually based on the time that it is created, But some advertising does endure. You've heard of people like Ogilvy. They created art that is still being copied by other people. There's people like Frank Kern. There's people like Dan Kennedy, legends in the marketing world that are creating work that matters. People like Seth Godin, people like Simon Sinek that are doing work that is going to outlast them for sure. Who right now can quote you in your industry? Yes, you might call yourself a thought leader, but what thoughts are you leading? So this is what I thought for myself. Instead of feeling envious, I should simply just commit to creating work that is worth remembering. And I hope you can do the same for your industry as well. Because at the end of the day, yes, you might be here today and gone tomorrow. And it's not your fault. We now live in a world where we need instant gratification. And you might think, oh yeah, those are artists that you're talking about. What does this have to do with business? Have you ever heard of a guy called Jeff Bezos? Jeff Bezos is on record for saying that he works between 2 to 3 years into the future. All right, he doesn't just look at what is happening this quarter. He doesn't just look at what is happening today. He looks at 2 to 3 years into the future. And very rarely does he have any short-term or daily operations in the company. He leaves that to other people. And there's a famous quote from Jeff Bezos where when a friend of him came to congratulate him after, being, I think when he did like the $1 trillion valuation, he's like, oh, thank you. But this quarter was baked 3 years ago. What are you doing right now to enable your business to withstand, even if there's going to be a sweeping lockdown, even if there's going to be a market downturn? What are you doing right now in order for you to, outlast all of these things that are being thrown at us every single day? Have you ever noticed that since 2020, if you've just started paying attention to how the world works, every third week, there's some sort of operation that's going on. We came from COVID, and then there was the Ukraine fights, and then pretty much after that, there was so much stuff that was happening, the abortions, and then pretty much after that, there was the gay, transgender things that were in the press, and then COVID hit again. There were different, variants that came in. All of these things designed to take away our attention. What are you then doing for your business so you can create diverse recurring revenue streams, so you can skyrocket your profitability and ensure that your business remains 100% bulletproof, even if there's a market downturn, even if there's global pandemics, even if there's sweeping lockdowns? One of the things that you need to do is to focus on leaving a powerful legacy. And if you really want to leave a powerful legacy, you need to realize that it's not all about money. You never see Jeff Bezos or anybody else, posting on social media or chasing up, his clients using emails. You know what I mean? It's not about the fame or the fortune. It's entirely inspired by the need to create the purpose in the work that he's doing. And if you see people that are artists or people like Tupac, their goal is just to create the paintings or music that actually leaves a legacy that will benefit humanity. I'm not talking about her immediate family or their immediate family. I'm talking about humanity. Look at the Mona Lisa. That piece of art is beautiful and it's unspoiled. And it needs to be seen by the public every single day, even though people, did not understand what it was at the time when it was created. But now people line up just so that they can see that amazing piece of work. I mean, Leonardo da Vinci's artwork was so advanced that, he was maybe disregarded in his time. But he kept on making these paintings with pure energy and passion and just putting his effort into the whole creative process. What if you started doing that with your blogging? What if you started doing that with your message? What if you started doing that with your videos? What if you started doing that with your podcast? I know I am. I'm creating this massive body of work that will outlast me. I mean, you're probably listening to this in 2055. I hope you guys have got robots now. Have you ever considered creating just for your kids? You know what I'm doing right now, and it's something that you're going to be hearing about, more often. I've noticed that the only way my kids can actually get to understand what it is that I do, because, we can't do show and tell at their school, or there's no, I don't think they still do the bring your dad to work, type things that you see on TV. I'm helping my little girl start her own e-commerce business. Right now, I'm just helping her to learn the skill of creating the necklaces and the jewelry. But after that, I'm also going to teach her how to start her own business. I was talking to a parent today that from 16 to 65, any kid any person can earn a wage. But from 0 to 99, any person can earn a profit. So look at what you're doing right now. Have you even considered that the work that you're doing would help your kids get known in society, or it will help them get, entrance into some sort of a, prestigious university later on in life? Or are you also going to leave anything significant for the next generation? I know I am. I definitely am leaving something that's going to be a willable asset. You know why? Because I need to start off this generation that I'm starting on the right footing. I talk to some parents and then they're like, that's not for me. I think I did a podcast around this where, some kids were talking about, oh, yes, you're eating into our inheritance and things like that to my friends. Let me tell you something, man. At the end of the day, look at what you're doing. Is the work that you're doing just going to be an instant hit? Or is it actually going to be something that your family would, be happy to pass on to for generations to come? What is going to be the legacy that's going to be talked about at family gatherings about how you made a difference in the world? I mean, we are at the cusp of things that are going to be talked about for years to come. COVID, you know what I mean? Like the pandemic and all the things that are happening in our lives right now. Look at how, we actually witnessed history. And I don't like putting dates to this podcast because it dates it. But for those that are well versed with what's happening right now, apparently there's a lettuce that outlasted the British Prime Minister. I don't follow news or mainstream stuff or things of that nature, but apparently there's that whole concept of a lettuce that was on a live stream that outlasted the British Prime Minister who stayed in power for only 44 days. What is that going to be your legacy? Your legacy for not outlasting a vegetable, not outlasting a salad. You know? I find it very inspiring when I talk about Tupac and people that have created work, and people are still, enjoying that work, because it's now part of history. It's now part of our culture. It's now part of what it is that we're doing. People go and view the Mona Lisa every single day, and they are in awe of the creativity, you know? Even if people did not understand, Leonardo da Vinci at that time, but he went on and created paintings entirely for generations to come. And specifically, the art could not be exhibited until maybe 20 or 30 years after they died. You know what? We can be so consumed about, whatever list that we might be seen on, or achieving something, an accolade or an award today, which is not our fault, because we're brought up in a world where instant gratification is driving ambition in our generation. We want it now. We want to see it now. I mean, that's a whole different power of now as what Eckhart Tolle is talking about. But I'm talking about people that want, results today. How can you create and leave a powerful legacy if you're not patient? Right now, I want you to look at your work. I want you to give yourself permission to create, yes, for now, for money today, but also to create for 3 years in advance. What are you creating today that will be realized in 4 years, in 5 years, in 10 years? I always tell this to people when I talk about my hobbies. You know what I do for a hobby? I actually sit around on Saturday, clean the house and everything else, and then I treat myself to maybe 2 to 3 glasses of whiskey. All right, you're probably going to be thinking, oh yeah, here comes an alcoholic. All right, so when you look at whiskey, somebody put, what's the grains, the hops, the barley, and water, and put it all in a barrel and locked it up in a barn for 10 years. All right? And usually a really good whiskey is about 10 years old. They didn't even know what that batch was going to come out like. They didn't even know what it was going to taste like. So what are you putting within your business right now that can be opened up in 10 years and have people raving about it, and have people talking about it, writing about it, and inviting you to celebrate with them about it? I mean, if you want to make money on the internet right now, there's a very clear path. Write often, put out content, because the internet is created and driven by community, by conversations, and by content. So if you're a writer, write every day. If you're a podcaster, post almost every day. Make sure your articles, make sure your podcast is well written and it's got value. And focus on creating great content that actually keeps the reader in mind. I always talk about things like this. When you write with your own unique style, don't follow the best practices of what's happening at that particular time, and be mindful that people are coming to the internet to get information. And if they can get that information from you, be sure you're informative before you're entertaining. And write about topics of general interest. Talk about things that actually are happening right now. What is it that you're actually embarrassed with? What are you struggling with right now? And document all of that and write about it and help other people be doing and have a happier existence. I mean, there could be other goals that you want to achieve besides the money issue. Can you imagine maybe putting out content that would then be spoken about for years to come, or be a text reference for people that are going to be using it in your industry? But you might be thinking, yeah, that's not me. Well, you need to know yourself. Find what your actual why is for, doing the work that you're doing. Ask yourself the big question. Why are you doing what you're doing today? Why are you helping people with their health? Why are you helping people with their wealth? Why are you helping people with their relationships? And be honest with yourself and dig deeper. And if your goal is just for immediate success, then give it your everything. I mean, you'll be able to achieve that goal if you just apply yourself, get some mentoring, read a little bit, keep at it. Just don't give up. But if your vision is not about fast fashion, is not about instant gratification, is about time and skin in the game, then you want to give yourself permission to be fully creative. You want to give yourself permission to show up every single day and do work that matters for people who care, and do your most fantastic work every single day, not looking at the scoreboard, and create without the pressure of performance. Or you want to develop your own literally style. You want to develop your own voice and work true to your own vision. I mean, if you're going to leave something that stands the test of time, then you're going to need to have courage within yourself to actually disregard the critics, disregard the gurus that think they know best. They don't know what you're doing it for. No, they don't. They're just looking at, okay, you need to buy this $30 product that they're selling, this $99 dollar membership that they're selling. That's not what you're doing this for. I mean, not everyone is going to understand, what you're trying to achieve. Even if you do not understand yet, but if you have that vision and you're true to what you want to create, you, my friend, will be amongst the people that their work outlasts them. Great artists, I talked about Tupac and Van Gogh. I don't know if I mentioned, but you know who I'm talking about. They show us what's possible. They inspire us to become more, want more, have more, and for us to reach further, than what is actually possible in this maybe generation. Why can't that be you? And once you've figured that out, do it because you have to. Because the world will miss it if it is not there. Do you know how, when we're creating stuff for our clients would only know when they've seen it. And if it's not there, they're not going to miss it. So if you're this creative person, you're writing and you're putting out your podcast, and I'm not talking to you, and I'm sorry about that. I'm talking to me. I need to create something that is going to outlast me. I need to show up every single day, and I'm sorry I just went deep with that. When you're born to create, it's as vital as breathing. If you want to succeed as bad as you want to breathe, that's when you get started. Not just showing up for just showing up. I mean, even if you're writing and no money is coming in right now because your creativity is a gift to yourself, that is important, right? Because it makes you happy. Do it because it encourages you to do more for other people. Imagine how many people are going to knock on your house's door right now and tell you that because of you, they did not give up. That's a gift. You owe it to yourself. You owe it to the people that you can actually change their lives. Who are you to stop some people from receiving a good health later on in the future? Who are you to stop people from realizing their wealth in the future based on the message that you have for them? Who are you? And you got to use your voice. You got to use your voice. Let you be heard. Look, not in the way that I'm using my voice right now, because I'm almost losing it. Look at this, man. We now live in a space where information people are bloated with content. I mean, you can feel like you've got nothing to say because everything has been said. But when you think of something to say, like I said, look at what you're embarrassed with right now. What are you struggling with? And then just document that. And once it comes from you, your life story and your experience have a tremendous value that you can put out in the world right now. The world is waiting to celebrate with you your art. I mean, we could go on, but only you can decide what you want to achieve. You know who you are, and you want to give your honest and authentic self. Anything else can be Googled. Anything about health, about wealth, about relationships, whatever it is that you're selling right now in your consulting, your training, your information, your expertise, and things of that nature, anybody can Google that. But nobody has your stories. Nobody has your art. Nobody has your experiences. The world needs to hear about them. Not just this current world, the world that is 500 years in the making. I mean, it's okay if you're not driven to make money with your, writing, or maybe create great art, and just allow the world to enjoy, to know that you existed. Not to be an internet meme just because you came in and, grand opening, grand closing, and you lasted 44 days. Like, even a piece of salad, even a lettuce cannot last you the work that you have done. You want to do something not for maybe the generations to come, but for yourself. Imagine the old you that is trying to dream up stories or think up lies just to make yourself look cool in front of your grandkids. It's embarrassing. Save yourself from that mediocrity. I hope you will use this information as to take your art, your creativity, and inspiration to really encourage you to want more, be more, and have more. I'm going out to go and create right now. So instead of you trying to make up stories just so you can appear, like a hero, why don't you simply commit to creating work that is worth remembering? Bye for now.
Thank you for joining us today. If you have any questions, let's continue the conversation in the Live Long Digital community. Become a Live Long Digital community member today. This community is for ambitious entrepreneurs and small business owners with the drive to take control of the future of their businesses and achieve huge success without stress and overwhelm. As you heard, Prosper can help you by teaching you marketing strategies that work. So look no further than the Live Long Digital community of entrepreneurs and highly successful business owners. Join our community today. Find us on www.community.livelongdigital.com.au. Network with other driven entrepreneurs and find the expert guidance you need to take your business to the next level. www.community.livelongdigital.com.au